Hey all, hope all is well. This is another video in the Road to Grandmaster series, and this one I'm going to go over my fifth and final round game from the October Marshall premiere. Now, if you followed the round 4 video, you know that I won a really up and down game against Grandmaster Sergey Kudrin, and so going into the last round, I actually had 3.5 out of 4 and was tied for first place with my co-leader and eventual opponent in this game. My opponent was actually Grandmaster Djurabek Khamrakulov, a Grandmaster that should ring a bell because I've played him already on this channel before. In September, he's actually originally from Uzbekistan but has been living in the States for a few years now and is a frequent guest at the Marshall. Now, obviously with the tournament situation being what it was, I didn't want to take too many risks because I felt that I was in good position to at least get a tie of first place if I didn't do anything silly. And that was basically kind of my mindset, is that, I'd escaped, I'd pretty much gotten a second lease on life after my game in round 4 that I should have ultimately lost, and I really just wanted to kind of buckle down here and not do anything too silly. So I did have the white pieces, but I was not going to go crazy in search of a win. So anyways, I opened with d4, and Djurabek played knight f6, and I thought that maybe we were going to go down the Nimzo-Indian line that I actually used against him in September, because that game actually was quite interesting. It also ended in a draw, but I had some new ideas, some fresher ideas based upon that game. I mentioned in that Nimzo that I learned some things about the timeliness of playing A3 in the classical version of the Nimzo, and I thought, maybe I'll be able to use that here. But after C4, E6, and knight C3, Djurabek actually went for D5. And I think that's actually a really good practical choice on his end, because I did come armed with a new idea, new concept, and was kind of ready to use it. So he actually sidestepped me before I was able to kind of surprise him with what I intended to surprise him with. So anyways, after d5, we actually have like a Queen's Gambit decline type of setup, which could transpose into other things depending upon our next few moves. But I actually decided to keep it in that territory by playing the move c takes d5, which transposes to an exchange variation after e takes d5. Now, there are other moves in this position. I could go knight f3, but after knight f3, I actually consider this very position kind of the Rui Lopez of d4 openings, because black is actually spoiled with choice here. Black could go c6 and play the semi-Slav. Black could go bishop b4 and play a Ragozin. Black could play d takes e4 and go for a Vienna. There's a6, which is, a pet line that I've employed that's like a hybrid of the Queen's Gambit exchange. And there's bishop e7, that's a Queen's Gambit declined. And there's even knight bd7, which is a hybrid, another Queen's Gambit hybrid type of setup. So there's so many different lines. Pretty much. So there's so many different lines, and I wasn't quite sure which one he was going to play. So I didn't want to, open myself up to all those options. So I went c takes d5. And after e takes d5, I went bishop g5, and this is a position I have quite a bit of familiarity with on the black side, actually, because I've been playing a lot of Queen's Gambit declines myself and exchanges myself. So after bishop g5, Djurabek actually played bishop e7, and that's actually not the most normal move. Most people actually start with c6, so bishop e7 is a little bit of a nuance here. And I was trying to figure out why bishop e7, why not playing c6 right away? And one of the reasons that, that bishop e7 right away could be more valuable is because if you're trying to play c5, you actually would rather do it in one go than in two. So after bishop e7, I played e3, and then black castled, and I played bishop d3. And even here you might say, well, what about c6? What about this c6 move? Well, it turns out here that Djurabek had another idea in mind and played the move knight bd7, and it was quite clear to me that he was not actually going to go c6. He was delaying it because he was actually trying to go c5. And these types of structures are very, very different, where black is essentially trying to play very, very actively from the jump instead of playing the kind of solid static structures with c6 and d5. So after knight bd7, I decided to go knight f3. And the reason I did this is because there are pretty much two ways you can play against in the Queen's Gambit exchange against black's setup. You can go for the Carlsbad structure, which is with knight g2, f3, and e4, or you can go for what I like to call the Karpov method, which is knight f3, rook b1, and b4, where you're actually not trying to play e4 at all, but you're trying to execute a minority attack. Now, Karpov has, executed this with quite a bit of success, and, Kasparov has also played the Botvinnik plan with f3 and e4 with a lot of success. But it seemed to me that the Botvinnik plan here didn't make a lot of sense essentially if black was going to play c5 really quickly. Because if I went knight g2, f3, and e4, and black is very quickly going b6 and c5, I thought this diagonal could actually be kind of weak. And so I thought knight f3 made more sense. And here, after knight f3, Djurabek actually played b6 and offered me a draw. I thought for a little bit, probably not too long actually, and wound up accepting the draw. And part of the reason I did that is because I knew that by accepting the draw, we were both tying for first, which was a pretty decent payday for a Marshall weekend event. And I also didn't really feel like taking a whole bunch of risks to win this game anyway. And I had not ever faced this b6 setup against the Queen's Gambit exchange. So I figured, you know what? I'll take this draw. I'll do my research and probably come with more knowledge for the next time if I face this variation. And I'd be quite satisfied with the result of this tournament. And so even though the game ended pretty abruptly here, I couldn't complain too much, having gone 4 out of 5, playing three out of my 5 games against people that were 2450 or higher. And just a solid weekend event for me. So I was quite pleased to tie for first, even if it meant that I cut a white game short. So it is what it is. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Please like and or subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the Road to Grandmaster journey, you could do so by making a donation through the PayPal link in the description below. Thanks again. Take care.